Hello and welcome to another Starcraft 2 commentary video with Gumjabar. This is going to be a PvZ between myself, Gumjabar at the right of Abyssal Caverns, and my opponent Sublime, the Zerg at the left, just the bottom left. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the problems that Protoss have been having lately and in the past, and I think it's kind of a result of a couple of factors. Right now, if you look at all the forums, everybody is yelling about mutalisks. Oh, they're overpowered, they're impossible to deal with when they get in huge numbers. There's just a huge base trade. You can't kill them cost effectively with stalkers. Phoenix don't work. They can dodge storms. Archons are terrible. Etc., etc. And, I mean, considering that Blizzard is adding a new unit in Heart of the Swarm to address mutalisks for Protoss, I think that complaint has some merit. They probably are imbalanced in Wings of Liberty. But I also want to talk about why this is such a problem right now. I think it's because Protosses are fast expanding, forge expanding rather, basically every game. Especially the Koreans. I know they're doing this every single map, whether it's safe or not. And the reason for this is pretty much, I think, because 3-gate expand fell out of favor, and so did 1-gate Stargate expands. So let's go back over the history of the 3-gate expand real fast. That used to be the standard build, PvZ. You get 3 gates, you warp in a bunch of sentries, and you expand. And then you tech toward Colossus while sort of faking aggression for the entire game. And it was great, and it worked pretty well. Zerg never knows when you're going to actually attack or all in or anything. It's... Also, this Zerg's being a little obnoxious with his probe. Anyway, I don't know how to wall in on this map. I have to study this more. Okay, so 3-gate expand was great. It was wonderful. But then, I believe it was Lucira came up with this really insane timing attack with a bunch of roaches and lings right at about the 7-minute 30-second mark. And it's really, really hard to hold with a standard 3-gate expand. It's almost impossible, in fact. Doesn't matter if you have cannons or whatever, it's really hard to hold on and not lose your natural at the least. So, at best you lose some sentries, which is pretty bad too. So a lot of Protosses said, well, I can't really do this 3-gate expand build anymore. It's just not viable. Let's try doing 3-gate expand with a Stargate, which puts down the Nexus about a minute later. And Zergs just sort of deflect any Void Ray pressure, and they drone up a lot. And there's not much that they can do, they're ahead. Or Protosses have been doing Dark Templar expands, which can get the Nexus down at almost the same time, but it's pretty easily scouted based on the number of sentries. And if the Dark Templar just don't do any damage, Protoss is behind. Okay, quick note, here's something you always want to do. If you can kill these first Zerglings, that is really great. It denies the Zerg scouting your front. They don't know anything. They have to make more Zerglings to be able to keep scouting. See, I just forced 4 more Lings out of them. Now, incidentally, we're actually going to see that exact Roach timing attack this game from this player in close positions. This is about the closest spawns you can get on the maps nowadays, I think. So, we're going to look at how I'm going to defend this with a 3-gate expand. So, basically, what I was getting at with the mutalisk complaints is, I think that the reason Forge Fast Expand leads to mutas being really strong is that your tech is really delayed. Your cybercore is very much later. You won't have stalkers as early, or access to stalkers nearly as early. And more importantly, you're not going to be able to put much pressure on Zerg until about the 8-minute mark. Yeah, there's some fun stuff you can do with 2-gate Zealot after a Forge Expand, but I mean, that's not going to really do anything to deter Mutalisks. The real important part of aggression against Zerg is deterring them from really powering hard on tech or economy. We don't want to let them do that. So what I'm doing, quick pause, is after my 3 gates in my expo, this Nexus goes down at the 6-minute mark, I throw down a 4th gateway. This is something I saw Puzzle doing a lot a while back. I think he Forge expands now too, but this is something he does. I know this is something Huck did a lot. In fact, he did 5 gates, as I recall. And what you do is you warp in a lot of zealots and sentries. After your initial 7 or 8 sentries, you want to just warp in a few zealots and just go pressure. Build a proxy pylon and just attack, attack, attack. So here comes Zerg with his roaches and lings. Usually we'll see more ling than this attack, but it's not a big deal. So by being aggressive here, I'm going to be able to spot this early, and he doesn't have speed on any of these, so I can actually just sort of run away. And now, because a lot of the maps nowadays have this Forge Expand style natural, you can actually defend this roachling aggression much easier with fewer force fields. So yeah, we're just going to try and do our best force fields here. And somehow we can get out there. That doesn't look like we can, but we did. And just warp in some stalkers, no big deal. And if we look at the unit count, we're actually even in workers, so I'm not even concerned about this. Even though my goal initially was to do this 4-gate pressure, right now I'm just ignoring it because the goal of the 4-gate pressure is to induce units, and we've already done that. He did it himself. We're not concerned about it. Now, I keep getting sidetracked from the mutas. We can't pressure mutas with a Forge Expand, but with a Gateway Expand, we can do pretty much constant fake aggression and sometimes real aggression. Just throw in a few actual attacks here and there, but you never want to commit. Don't all in. This is something where Protosses have been saying, oh, I'm getting crushed by Mutalisks. I should 6-gate like every game. And hopefully that'll work out if he's going mutas, which most Zergs are. But Zergs just go roach first and then move into mutas. Because 6-gate, like, you're either all-inning or you have to fall back, turtle, and expand. You can't just sort of pressure and expand at the same time. Because at that timing, Zerg is going to be able to pump out so many units so quickly, if they want to, that they can really screw you over. But here we are with this Gateway Expand, where Zerg is sticking on 2 base for much longer. His economy is lower, and it's going to be fairly even with ours, which just doesn't happen with a Forge Expand. Like, you have to let Zerg get at least a little ahead when you Forge Expand. But with this build, we are letting... we're staying about even with Zerg economy. And he's been on 2 base for quite a while, but mostly because of that all-in, but it's just not safe for him to take a base here before at least 8 minutes. So quick note about my follow-up. I'm getting a Forge and a Robo and going for Colossus. And now we are actually going to see eventually Zerg try and throw down a Spire. If this were a Forge Expand, this is really common. Zerg gets roaches and lings to defend against an all-in or early aggression. Then he throws down the Spire. Here it is. And he's just, you can see me clicking on it right there. Then he's going, in the normal game that everyone complains about right now, Zerg goes roachling, defends, and then suddenly pops out 15 Mutalisks off 3 base with 6 gas geysers, and you're screwed. Can't leave your base, Zerg macros up, and you're dead. But now, because we're doing a Gateway Expand and Zerg's economy and ours is lower, in smaller numbers we're actually not bad against Zerg. When it gets to huge numbers, you really need those Colossi and Storms and stuff against Massive Ling or whatever. But in smaller numbers and low econ situations, Protoss is quite good. Just Gateway units, in fact, are very, very strong. So, we're going to be pressuring more over the Forge Expand. We'll be able to be aggressive more, stay even. And with this sort of thing, I scout the spire going down. I can just time my attacks around that. And we can see Zerg is going to want to throw down. We can look at his money. He wants to make a bunch of mutas. And we're just not really going to be able to let him do that. He can't safely pump out 10 mutas at a time because we're going to be in his face all the time. And I'm trying to assault some of these spine crawlers. It's just 4 spines. We don't actually need to be concerned about that. Now, Zerg actually does a very nice flank here. And my Colossus is stuck hitting the spine crawler. So this is pretty bad. I could have wiped this army out, no problem here. But you know what? The general idea is this constant aggression. We're able to time our attacks around when he's trying to make mutas. So he can get like a muta out. Right now he has 1 muta, but he has to go back to making Hydras, Lings, Corruptors, because I'm attacking with my Colossus and Stalker army. He has to survive that and not die. If he just made mutas right now, he would die. Like, that's all there is to it. He needs to make Corruptors to deal with the Colossus, which means his ground army can't just be Lings. He has to make Roaches and Hydras. So we've just forced him into this style of game where Protoss is favored, where Colossus, Stalker, Sentry is good against this army right here. You know? He doesn't have the time to go into mutas, and that's really what we want. So I'm trying to take a 3rd base up here, but he's not going to let me. So essentially I'm going to 2-base all in this game, even though I don't particularly want to. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, Zerg does have the gold base and does have a nice economy here. But look at the army. You know, we're only about even, and that's favorable to Protoss, I think. So the rest of this game is just kind of battle. I'm going to speed it up a little bit because I want to get to another game. And of course, once the Colossus are dead, the ground army is enough weakened that Zerg kind of dies. And you just want to kill bases. Don't go for the main. Just sort of kill bases and retreat. Kill this base. Look at the drone counts real quick. Just killed 20 drones-ish. So that's pretty good. I'm gonna fall back. Probably could have target fired a couple Corruptors because those are good. That's good to do. There we go. Just sort of engage the Corruptors and not the army whenever I get a chance to. And Zerg is going for a lot of these Hydras, which I think is a big mistake. I mean, yes, he has a lot of Corruptors, and I can't make much use of my Colossi, but Hydras are just not good units. Like, the Guardian Shield that counters Hydras, and so does Zealots, by the way. If you see him Hydra heavy, just make more Zealots and just Guardian Shield a lot. So now I'm going to kill this base. Zerg's dropping supply rapidly. GG. So we've seen how early constant aggression can stave off Zerg going Mutalisk safely. He just can't do it, in my opinion. And yeah, we don't let Zerg power in his economy or his tech. And the early 4-gate aggression allows us to pressure and do a lot of damage if possible. I'll show that in a minute. But also, it helps us defend against this Roachling stuff. We just sort of warp in a lot of stuff, a lot of Zealots and Sentries, and force field really well. And these new maps help a lot with the defense. So I'm going to go on to another game here, and we're going to look at different aspects of this play. Okay, here's the next game. This is going to be between Novice, I guess that's Pink Zerg in the left. Or it's red, I don't know. And Gumjabar, me at the right on Metalopolis. So we're going to speed through the opening just a bit. This is like the oldest PvZ build ever, so I hope you know it already. But we're making... I mean, I'll go over it a bit. this real quick. So we're just making gateway and cyber core at the wall, at the ramp. You don't have to make them at the ramp. It's totally fine to make them at your nexus and then wall in later. Whatever floats your boat. I don't really care. I'm just doing this right now. And we get our second gas. You never want to let this get stolen. A lot of Zergs will try and steal your gas. Just take it as soon as the drone starts moving toward the gas guys. It doesn't matter. If it's a little bit early, just take the gas guys. If he steals it, you have to do a 2-gate expand, which is a little bit... it's not... You can't do as much pressure. So, making this at the ramp. Always kill these Zerglings if you can. And now, check it out. Zerg's going Baneling. And he has a Spore here for some reason. I don't know why he would do that. I guess he suspects a DT expand or a Void Ray expand, which is sort of common. And now he's going for a pretty fast, that's actually a really fast lair. And lots of gas, upgrade off 2 days. Zerg's going for some sort of big thing. I'm not sure what he's doing exactly, but here's my 4 gates. My 4 gates are up and running. I'm still probing. I'm not all in at all by any means. And now Zerg is sort of preparing for my attack. I'm going to move in and pressure a bit. Alright, so I'm going to slow it down. Zerg is going Baneling. This is, in my opinion, a very weak opening. I think this is... Well, I mean, I'll try and prove it to you here, but... I don't know what he's doing with that, but... Like... Banelings aren't very good against Zealots. It takes 3 Banelings to kill a Zealot. It's pretty dumb. So, yeah, and he's going to try and surround, but Force Fields actually counters Zerglings pretty well. So, any sort of strategy that just relies on mass Zergling, Zealot Sentry just rolls over that. This pressure is absurdly strong against what he's doing. I'm on 4 gates, and based on what I see, I'm going for a Twilight rather than a Robo, so I can get up to Archon and stuff like that. But like this is actually going to kill him, which it's kind of ridiculous. This Baneling strategy is no good. They're not cost effective against Zealots, and in small numbers like this, it's silly. And now I've killed everything. I just sort of supposed to the ramp late, but it doesn't matter. I just kill everything that comes out. And yeah, I mean, this is just a really greedy build from Zerg that does not work. And yeah, I'm going for charge. I'm going to go for Archon. My strategy. So here's an example of this build killing Zerg straight up. This is simply a pressure build, but if Zerg does something... There's a Templar Archives, by the way. If Zerg does something super greedy like this, you just win. And yeah, I have time for one more quick game. Here's the final game for today. Myself, Gom Jabbar, at the right of Metalopolis, and my opponent Foxtrotter at the top. So we've looked at how we stay alive against the fearsome Roachling attack, and how our 4-gate pressure can do a ton of damage in the best case. It can actually just kill a greedy Zerg player. And now we're going to look at... Well, we're going to speed it up first of all. We're going to look at sort of another nice scenario. The first game is what will usually happen against good Zergs. They'll spot the 4 gates and just make some roaches, and you won't be able to do much damage, but you'll be even economically, which is just fine. In this case... we're going to see another greedy play from Zerg, and how we can use the 4 gates to punish it. I think Zerg pretty much has to go for just units off 2 days, so like roaches and wings, and maybe like a Hydra rush, but I think that's not even that good, because Zealots are pretty good with Guardian Shield against Hydras. But if Zerg goes for like any sort of really fast tech or a fast 3rd base, then we can do a ton of damage. So that's what we're going to look at. Get this pylon at the low ground yet again. This opening looks pretty much identical to the last one. There's a nexus and now a gateway. And I'll eventually... Yeah, I wanted the... This wasn't a tight one, so I canceled it. Here's Zerg taking a really fast third base. Like, really fast. That's too fast. If I, for example, canceled this nexus and just went all in, he dies. And in fact, I'm going to be... I mean, I'm doing pressure at about the same time. Yeah, he's going double Evo and a fast third. He just can't really hold this. So I'm just going to kill his third base. How many units does he have? Not enough. Yeah, it'll take forever to kill these eggs, so I'm not going to do it. Let's slow it down a little bit. Watch this. Just zealots and sentries. This is the ideal that I want here. Now, he actually has lots and lots of larva damage. There's natural, so it's kind of okay. But he's going to try and fight drones against zealots. That does not work. Guess what? And I'm just going to retreat. The really important part of this is pressure, not killing him. Don't all in and try and kill him. And try and get some free roaches. Always good. Zealots are good against roaches. They beat a roach one-on-one. You just have to not let your zealot get kited. So I'm getting +1. I'm going to slowly tech while I'm pressuring here. I killed the third, so I'm already way ahead. And incidentally, there's these roaches here. That's kind of weird. So you guys also, like, no drones. I killed all the drones. And I missed force field there. Also, don't be afraid to warp in more sentries. It's not a big deal. So yeah, now he's going to try and kill some sentries. I gotta back up. I think he should retreat up, or follow me up here, but of course he's afraid of this choke point. And I'm still pressuring, getting my +1. I'm slowly teching. There's my robo. Obviously, this is just based on what I'm seeing. If I mean, I killed his third so quickly, and I'm just doing so much damage to his drones and everything like that, that I'm comfortable continuing to pressure here and slowing my tech down. Because I know his tech is just halted completely. He can't tech right now. He can't do anything. He just has to make units. I, on the other hand, can tech very slowly while continuing to be aggressive. And I have him contained here, by the way. He just can't take a base. I guess he could sneak this one in, but, I mean, he'd die. He needs units. He can't spare the resources. I, on the other hand, can tech up. Getting my gas geysers. Worker-wise, I'm so ridiculously far ahead, it's just silly. Supply-wise, I'm really far ahead. One more force field, I missed the last one. I could have gotten all those Zerglings with my zealots. And, you know, based on what you're seeing, if he's going, like, mass roach instead of any lings, I can just warp in stalkers. But if he's going with some lings, you gotta warp in more zealots. Just whatever you scout. Don't be afraid to make zealots. There's a robotics bay. Getting my armor. So, you know, the game is just kind of, like, ridiculously in my favor here. And I'm going to keep pressuring. He has enough roaches at this point to do a decent amount of damage. Real bad force fields there. So, yeah, I'm going to speed it up a little bit. At this point, he's target firing sentries. He's doing a decent amount of damage. He has enough roaches that I kind of have to get out of there. But, you know, I want to stick around. I'm getting a little greedy with my aggression at this point. But the supply says it all. And so far ahead, it's not actually important. I have a Colossus out. This is really the key thing. And I just make a cannon if I'm really afraid of a counterattack. So yeah, get those sentries back. I've got my Colossus. Got more in the way. And I'm just going to take a third base. At the same time as Zergs. But, of course, I've been way ahead in the worker count and tech for quite a while. I have Colossus. The Zerg has no spire in sight. You know, it's just not a big deal. Add on those gateways. Warp in the units. Got this third base nice and secure. And just based on that pressure, because Zerg was greedy with his third base, we are super far ahead. And here's the scary Deathball army. Zerg just can't even think about going Muta this game. I mean, like, wow, it's not even remotely possible for him. And this has really been my experience doing this the last couple of days. Is just, you know, you do this 4-gate pressure after you expand. You never start making probes. You're always still in the game. You're not all-inning. And, you know, you tech whenever you judge that you can. You don't need to rush for tech after you first attack or anything. You can just retreat and tech up. Whatever he does, you want to respond to it. But just notice how strong this is. Like, he's going to try and attack this wall. I don't know why. I mean, this is the most standard PvZ in the universe from like a year ago. And the only reason really that it stopped working was because of this timing attack with the roach ring. But I mean, players like Huck have been defending against that just fine with 3 gates. It's pretty tough at the, you know, high Korean like Grandmaster level, obviously. I'm not going to deny that. These are just like diamond players, so still though, it is possible. Huck has done it. With good force field micro, you can do it, so it's not it's a viable strategy, is what I'm saying. And I know a lot of players like Liquid Tyler, for instance, will keep doing this. And yeah, if he tries to neural, just target fire the infester, it's no big deal. Because neural range is majorly weakened, so to deal with Colossus, Zerg really should have corruptors. Or he should rush Muta and not die, and then that dissuades the Colossus. But anyway, here's a big attack. Zerg is trying to stay in it, I guess, but I've got the goal base, and yeah, it's not even a contest. So, also I have Dark Templar. I personally love just, after 3 base, you make the Dark Shrine, then you just every time you lose supply from max, and you don't lose any, like, important things, you just remax on Dark Templar. And typically you can snipe out any overseers, and the DPS from Dark Templar is ridiculous, so you're just going to kill everything. Anyway, that's going to be it. This is 3-gate expand into 4-gate aggression, and then we're just going to tech up as needed. Obviously we're not going to always do, like, we're not going to always see a Zerg take a greedy third or go really fast Baneling and just kill him. But this definitely forces units, and at the worst case scenario, we're going to be even with the Zerg economically, and we're going to be able to dissuade him from going Muta. Like, he can't really go mass Muta. It's very, very difficult. So, that's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Bye.